Last but not the least, batch file virus. What is a batch file virus? Batch file virus is very simple, right? Most likely it is not just with Windows, but also with other popular operating systems, including of Macintosh and Linux. What is a batch file virus? It need not be .bat file alone. It can be sh file for Linux, meaning almost similar alternatives of batch file for various operating systems. Now let me ask you this. You go to your command prompt and type dir, enter. What happens? It shows the directory, it shows the list of all files and folders and the subfolders. Perfect. Now the question is, what if I create a notepad, type dir, save this file as a batch file in my desktop, double click the file. What is going to happen is it's just going to run that particular, execute that dir command and gives me the output right there. Yes or no? Okay. My question to you is, if I replace the dir command with delete asterisk dot asterisk, just think over it, right? So what are the chances I create a file called del asterisk dot asterisk as a batch file and I send it to you as an email? You download that email file content and double click it. What are the chances that you run that? You are actually executing this particular file under whose permission? You are going to run this under your own privilege. Am I clear? Excellent. Now, having said that, this is called the batch file virus. I pre-program a set of commands or set of tasks that I want to execute on your system, right? So, for example, format C:/Q. What is that? Format C drive /Q, quiet and quick, right? It's almost going to format your computer and I write this code in my system, send it to you as an email and you double click it and it formats your computer. As simple as that. And the worst part is, this file would format your computer under whose privilege? Under the privilege that you are logged in, because it's as good as you executing the set of commands, right? So we popularly discussed about the file virus, boot sector virus, polymorphic virus and the batch file virus. Excellent. So when was the first virus ever identified or written, right? The first ever virus was written in 1971 by Mr. Bob Thomas, who was a contractor working at ARPANET. Right? I'm sure most of you are able to connect to what is ARPANET, right? And also, this particular virus that he wrote was called the Creeper, right? And it was completely an experimental virus. It had no intentions to commit any harm to the end users. But the idea was, it was a completely an experimental code written. And this code was written purely as a fun experiment, right? And all that it does is it pops up a message saying, I am the creeper, catch me if you can. As simple as that. In 1987, there was another popular virus called the Brain, written by one Mr. Amjad Farooq and Basit Farooq, right? They both hail from Lahore, Pakistan. The objective of them writing this particular virus is again not to cause a major issue to end users, but to deter unauthorized copying of copyrighted files, right? It was objective for which that particular virus was written. What should I do if I think my system is infected with the virus? All you have to do is first download antivirus software, install it, make sure the definition files of these antivirus software are up to date, number one. Number two is, do not download arbitrary files from unknown sources. Make sure you always download only from known sources. Number three, in case you find a particular file to be infected, or if you think that there is something wrong about the particular file, I'll suggest there is a website called virustotal.com or novirusthanks.com. Right? These two are popular de facto websites that is used in the industry, where you can upload the single file that you think is a potentially infected file. And what this website does is it can actually scan this particular file against multiple online scanning engines and give you a response back saying, if it is infected or not. For example, I upload this file onto this website. It will scan against McAfee, Symantec, Kaspersky, Bitdefend, Avast, AVGN, about 100 different antiviruses, and give you the result right there. And interestingly, you can definitely understand if this particular file is infected or not, because there are about 100 different antivirus engines that tell if infected or not, and you will have a percentage. It will say about 70% of the antiviruses reported this file to be a virus, right? These are quite a few steps that you'll have to follow and understand to make sure your system is at least a little secure. Before we close, I want you to understand, do not download any arbitrary files and run it on your system. It would cause a major havoc. Thank you very much.